This the question is about hello world actually.
The question is about what?
The hello world, the print hello world.
Okay. So the print hello world. All right.
Okay.
So
I figured the column we can use they're either two or simple. Like you need to put the compulsory because they have a particular type of use.
yes, it's not actually compulsory. So the thing about Python is a very forgiving language. I actually forgot to be recording this thing for the. I just started recording now, so don't worry, it's fine. Python is a very simple language, or say forgiving in a way. So it works. If you're using double columns, stick to it. That's what Python wants. If you're using single, stick to it. So let me show you. I can replace my double columns here with single columns. Let me just do that. Let me do that now. Replace the double columns with single columns. My laptop might not allow me to replace them. That's the issue I'm going to have. Okay, exactly. So let me just replace it now. And you see it will still work. So it doesn't really matter. The only thing Python wants is stick to the single columns or stick to the double columns. So as you can see, hello world still prints out perfectly fine. So any other Bexela?
Hello?
Hello, yes.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. Ask your question, please. Is that Bexela? Yes.
You can hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear
I
you.
was trying to say, can you maximize your screen? Because on a cell phone, it's not clear what you are showing us. If you could maximize your screen and maybe draw with the with people's pictures
A
so that your
little
entire presentation is filling the entire screen.
bit more. My font size is reaching maximum. Okay. There's like four more steps and come on, let's go. I don't know why I'm supposed to be able
Did
to
you hear
use.
my request?
Yes, I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to make my font bigger so it's clearer for you to see. Because this is the maximum. I cannot zoom in. I don't know if you can zoom in on your phone, which you should be able to during the meeting. You should be able to zoom in on your phones on the Google Meet interface on your phone. So let me just increase the font size again. Okay. And who else has
You can zoom it on the phone. You can zoom it on your phone.
All right. So this font size is pretty big. So let me just make it.
Yeah, it's okay, sir. It's big enough.
All
It's
right.
big enough.
It's big enough, and you can even zoom itself. You've seen it well on your
All
phone.
right. So any more questions so that we can continue? Please, if you have questions, just unmute your mic and you can easily just ask. Okay.
Okay, good evening.
Good
Can you
evening.
hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So, okay. I entered the class late. So,
Okay.
I wanted to ask, in JavaScript, we have different ways where we can like output our code.
Yeah.
Like for instance, like for like console.log,
Yeah. How does
document.write,
yes.
and that and the rest. So in Python, is it just print?
Yep.
Do you have any other way we can
That's
just
is
print?
yep. Yep. Is that easy?
That's print.
Yeah. You're done.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the fun thing about Python. It can take 3 lines of JavaScript and turn it into 1 line. It can take 5 lines of C++, 1 line, 10 lines of command line, of what's it called, of this low level language, 1 line. So it's pretty nice, pretty neat actually, very neat. All right.
Thank
So
you.
any more questions and we can move. It's already 30 minutes into the
Okay,
class.
sir. So I want to ask a question.
All right.
Okay, just like what my friend was asking now that in JavaScript, like for example in HTML, if you are writing a code in HTML, there's a way that it is being displayed on the browser. Like, is there a way they can display Python on the browser apart from this terminal here?
Well, if you want to display Python code on your browser, you will need to be using a framework called Django to serve those. But it's possible, yes, you can display Python code. You can use Python to make your HTML, what's it called, dynamic. and but that's a bit more advanced stuff. Is it once you're done with this training, you should have everything you need to learn a framework and fly to the sky from there. So yeah, it's possible. Yeah, but we will not
Okay,
be
thank you, sir.
doing that here. We'll be using our
I have one more question.
all right. Question one more.
So, what is the major difference between a framework and a library?
All right, so good question. In case for the newbies here, don't worry, you'll still learn all these things. In fact, I'm explaining it now. So, what is a library to even start with? A library is what, in fact, we all know what a library in real life is, right? Where a bunch of books are, and you open a book, and the book has a bunch of information, right? Now, it's the same function it has here. A library is simply like a file or a module that you can import or download into your Python code that has a bunch of functionalities inside it that you can now utilize those functionalities, just like a normal library has a lot of books inside it. So I can download a library for maths, a maths library, and if I in my maths library, all the mathematical formulas are inside that library, and I can now use them in my code. But a framework is like I take Python and I build something around it. So let me now give you an example of what a framework is. Imagine Python is an engine, okay? And a car, for a car to work, a car needs an engine, right? So a framework, now when you're working with frameworks, that's why most in professional scenes use frameworks a lot, because that's actually the main thing. So for example, if you're doing web dev, you'll be using a lot of different frameworks. Those of you that are into JavaScript will know about Node.js, all those JavaScript framework. Then Python has Django and has a lot of other frameworks for doing other things. So imagine Python. Python is basically just an engine. Now, a car has an engine, right? So if Python is the engine, the body of the car, the tires, the steering, the headlights, that's what your framework is. You get? If you remove the engine from the car cannot move. But if you have only just an engine, you still cannot really do a lot of things with only just, I mean, although you can do some things with just an engine, but there are not plenty things you can do with just an engine. So that's the way it works between a framework and a library. Frameworks allow you to do a lot of other things, just like a tractor has an engine, but a tractor is not meant for transportation, it's meant for carrying things around. But it's still an engine that is there. So you can have a framework for doing a lot of things that still runs off the same engine. Like if you understand what I'm saying. So that's the way frameworks are. Alright? I hope that was clear enough.
Sorry, please, I have a question. Fair enough.
Alright, question, but this will be the last question because we need to do some other. Okay, two more questions.
I have two questions. Actually.
Alright.
Okay. There is a function in Python called pretty print. So
Okay.
is there a difference between print and pretty?
I will not say the difference is much. I've actually not personally used pretty print before, so let me just try it now. I'll learn something new. So give me a second, let me clear this. Or let me not clear it. So let me see. Something I should be able to explain. Pretty. Okay. It's not coming out. Whoa, I know what pretty is. Yes, I've used pretty before.
That's very important first.
Yeah, I just remembered. So when I was working on Django projects, so you use pretty. Pretty is like a what I use pretty to do is to clean up my code and help me make sure that I obey what's it called, type 8 rules. But I'm not sure I have the module. Let me see. Import pretty. I don't think I have the package. I don't have it, so I won't be able to answer that question currently. But I'll look into it and I should be able to give you a more straightforward answer. So what's your second question, please?
Okay. I also want to, although I understand I know what recursion is, but I don't understand. As in, there's a way you can know and there's a way you can
Yeah, I understand. Just like
So I don't understand. Yes, I don't understand, but I know what recursion is. So is there a way you can more light on that. Like
Currently,
understand
I would not
exactly
want to
what
start
recursion
explaining recursion because recursion is a concept in Python. Because Python has a lot of concepts, and there are a lot of beginners in this class. So, for the sake of the beginners, I would like for us to wait till we get there because we will eventually get there, and we'll answer all those questions. So, let us hold our horses and be
Let
a
me
bit
just give you a
okay.
brief
Taiwo,
explanation of that, so that yes, so that we'll just touch on it.
all right.
Okay, okay, thank you. All right. So recursion is another is a method of programming in which a function calls itself.
Yes.
Do you get? So let's say you have a certain function, and then for as long as that function does not return, or there's no break in that function, you can specify that, okay, for it means if you have not returned, it's a style of programming in which when you have not gotten what you want, you keep eating. Do you understand? So there are ways to break out of functions and loops, like maybe break and return, especially return. Do you understand? So when you are running a certain code, for instance, and then you have not yet gotten your results, what you can do is you tell that function to call itself again till this condition you are specifying is true, then you can now return. So it's actually a style of programming in which it keeps calling itself, and then it actually helps to simplify tasks. That's the result of a task is dependent on another task. Do you understand? So it's like, if you look at it, it's like running in circles. Actually, it's like running in circles, and then till you get what you want, then you now exit the circle. That's basically how I describe recursion.
Yeah, so you see why I said it's something we should touch later. It's an advanced concept. So let us, for those of us that are advanced here, please let us not move too far because we have a lot of beginners in the class. So for their sake, let us calm down with some of those advanced questions. All right. I'm not saying you shouldn't ask them, but it's good to to get. So yes, I will need to continue, and so the next things we need to touch now. I will not be taking more questions, please. Though I cannot take more questions because of time, and we need to at least gain some ground. So
We'll
you
answer
can
questions on the group.
you can ask the questions on the group or type them in here, and I will look at it and find a way to pitch it in as I go along. All right. So so far we've talked about errors, what is Python, level of programming language, and interpreter, and what else did we talk about? Okay, yeah, those things. Now the next thing we need to move into, okay, the next thing we need to move into now is what is the kind of is data types. So I want to start going into the actual language of Python and how Python works. How does Python understand things? How does Python see the world? You get? So the way we see the world is almost similar to the way Python sees the world and the way Python interprets the world of, the world around it, at least the code they are writing. So now, the first thing I'm going to explain is that for anything to exist, it needs to have a type. It needs to belong to a family of, it needs to have a way of recognizing it. It needs to have a name. You get? For anything to exist in the world, a wooden table, a chunk of tree, a plastic pen, a whiteboard, all these things belong to a class of some sort of objects, if you understand me. So that's the way Python works. Everything in Python is an object, and all objects must belong to a class, if I'm correct. Yes. So now I want you guys to just go with me on this journey now. So let us say, for example, let me use a human being for example. Everybody here has a name, and for me to refer to you, I need to call your name, right? I need to call you out specifically with your name, and that's how you know I'm talking to you. So the same thing happens in Python. When you want to write anything you're writing, it has a class, and that's how Python knows what it is. So, for example, in Python there are data types. I'll say, yeah, there are data types. So a data type is like saying what type of data is this, you get? So just like in the real world, there are a lot of things. There are different types of stuff. There are even types of people. There are fair people, there are dark people, there are white people, you get? In Python, because since is in the software world, it's basically digital. Everything is data. Everything is data. So Python needs to know what type of data is this before I can even start working with it. Python needs to be like, okay, this is a number, this is an alphabet, this is a dictionary, this is a list, this is a set, you know. So we'll still look into all these things individually, but they are all types at which they are all forms that data can take when you're writing programs, not only in Python but in almost any other language that exists, any other programming language. So for example, let me start with the very basic ones that we know. Numbers. What is so now what is the data type of a number? How does Python know that this is a number? So let me give you an example. let me just create a data type now. I'll say something like age. I don't know, this example is very cliche, but equal to 12. All right. So now I've done two things, or three things actually. I've done three things here. I created a variable called age, and I equated it to a number called 12. Someone is trying to join the meeting. Let me let them in. It's pretty late. Okay. So I think this is the last topic we'll cover today because of we're almost out of time for today's class. So I need you, once you understand this in Python, once you understand this thing, your programming journey is going to be a lot more easier for you. But you need to grasp this concept. So what I did here is I created a variable called age and equated it to a number 12. So this is just like, what just happened here is just like a baby has been born. Hello? Hello?
Hello? I've got a basic question before you go very far.
Okay.
After opening Python on my laptop, how do I open the IDE? What you are typing now?
Did you not watch?
Command do you run?
Did you not watch the tutorial link I sent to the group? I've done all this. This question I've handled it already. I didn't want to start because I didn't want to start addressing issues like this during the class. There's a link I sent to the Telegram and the WhatsApp group where on YouTube. I did a video on YouTube explaining how to install Python, how to start up your IDE. All right, you're welcome. Please look at it because it will delay us if I start addressing it now. Sorry about that problem you're having. But you can still follow through later because we're not going to do any serious stuff now. You can just still follow through. Okay. So I was explaining something. What just happened here? A baby has been born, literally, because before there was nothing and now there is something. So the name of that baby is age, and the value is 12. So to Python, I just created a variable basically. So anytime I want to refer to this value called 12, I will call its name age. So in a sense, so let me now liken this to normal people. Let me say this 12 is me, all right, and the age here is my name. So if I now say Python, let me now say print. I guess we can already know what will happen. So I say print what age, all right. And what do you think Python will print out for me? Python is going to print out 12. You get, because this value now has a name that is linked to it. All right. So this age, that's what a variable is. A variable basically is a name that you can store things inside. So I take this name age and I store 12 inside it. So anytime I say print age, Python knows, oh, 12 is what I'm actually trying to refer to. Because I could say print 12, but imagine eventually in my code I want to print this, I want to access this value dynamically, like a lot of times. I cannot come and be saying all the time, say maybe I cannot say, because what if age is actually a value that can change, because every year age will increase by 1. So how do I know what age is? Like if it's increasing by 1, I cannot be manually coming to my code and be increasing it every time I want to print. So all I have to do is just say print age. So anytime age increments on its own after a year, if I print it, it will be what it is. Like, if you understand, it doesn't. So this helps me make my coding dynamic. So it's part of what automating code is in a way. So, but the basic thing I need you guys to understand is that age is a variable. And what is a variable? A variable is basically a string or a name that you can store or that allows you to store values inside of it. That's what a variable is in Python. Now, the next thing we need to talk about is data type. So after you've stored the value or the data, because this 12 is data, is a form of data, is a number. So after you've stored it inside this variable, now what type of data is this? How does Python see this 12? So there's a way of knowing. All I need to do is I'll tell Python to print, right? So just stay with me here. Print, sorry, I'm not supposed to come out. So print what? Type, and I'll open the brackets and I'll write age there. So sorry. Print type age. Alright, and if I run this, guess what happens? Look at integer, int. So it's this 12 belongs to a class. Remember, I said in Python everything is an object, every single thing is an object, but don't worry yourself about thinking out. Don't think too deeply into it. Just understand that this 12 here, Python recognizes it as a number, and numbers are called integers. For those of us that did elementary maths, they say what is an integer? Is a number. So in short form, it's called int. So that's what this is. It's an integer, and that's the data type. So we're still going to explore different data types. We have a few more minutes left, so I might cover maybe two more data types, and we're done. But what I want you guys to understand is the meaning behind all this. What is all this that is happening? What is this age, and what is this 12? Age here is a variable. 12 is the data that is stored inside the variable, and that data, it has a type, and the type of the data it is a number, and Python calls numbers integer. Every programming language basically calls numbers integer. So it says class int. So that's what it is here. Now, I can do something weird now. Let me do something weird. Let me now say something. Let me say, let me create another variable now. Let me create a new variable. Let me call it say. Alright, say, and I equate it to what? Let me equate it to hello world. So now, alright, I now print type. Let me say print say. Now you can guess what we won't be able to guess what will happen because I've not but yes, it says string. Now there is a major difference between an integer and a string. Alright, so how do you know a string in Python? Anything at all, anything that you put inside a, please, can someone remind me what this sign here is? This is it a quotation mark or a double quote or a column? Yes.
It's a string.
So anything you put inside this sign, I've skipped. I don't know. I keep forgetting. Someone said it's a column, right? Okay. All right. So anything you put inside a column in Python automatically becomes a string, whether you like it or not. So even this 12, imagine I said age is 12, like this.
That's a quote.
A quote.
That's the quote, not the column.
Thank you. It's a quote, single quote or double quote. I don't know why I keep forgetting. So anything I put inside a quote, whether single quote or double quote, automatically is turned into a string, whether I like it or not, whether I'm happy about it or not, it becomes a string. So what is a string? A string is just a bunch of what's it called? Of numbers or letters or signs, whatever. As far as it's inside a double quote, is a string. So let me show you. Let me print the type age here again. Age. If I run this code, what is going to happen? You see, age is now a string because it's no more a number anymore. This is no more a number, and you can even see it has changed color to green. So this changing color to green is telling that Python has said, okay, this is no more a number, it's a string. So anything you could do with numbers, you cannot do with this anymore because you've changed the type of data that it is. So you basically, what we just basically did, we converted 12 from being a number to being a string, if you understand me. All right. The class should be ending very anytime soon. So basically, to wrap up again, I'll just review everything I just said now, and we will ask questions. Then we'll call it a day. Tomorrow we'll continue from where we stopped, and like that we'll keep moving. So now, a summary of everything I just said now, for the second part of the class, is that we have something called data types. Okay, we have data types and we have variables. So a variable is a container, is a box where you store data types inside. A variable can be anything, although there are conventions to how you name your variables, like never name a variable starting with an underscore. Python will not, is not usually, it's not nice. Don't start your variables with underscore and maybe like hash and all that kind of stuff, because it will just turn it white. I'll still explain what's just happening now. So now there are data types and there are variables. A variable is a container for storing data. Okay, and then this is how you create one, by saying you say the name of the variable, whatever name you want, you equate it to the data you want to store inside it. And then this data can take different forms. You have our string and our integer, and then a few more forms that I will explain in the coming classes. So for now, for today, I only talked about two different forms of data that can exist in Python and in programming languages in general. One of them is your integer, which is basically a number. 12, it can be 1200, whatever it is. A number, and a string, which is like an alphabet or a bunch of letters or a word. So these are two forms of data types that we have. There are a lot more. We'll still look into them. So I hope you've been able to understand what a variable is, what a data type is, that there are different types of data types, how to know a string when you see a string, and how to know an integer when you see an integer. Those are the 5 things you need to take home with you after this class. And also you need to have taken home what the different types of errors they are: a syntax error, a logical error, and your semantic error. You should know what they are by now. What else did we cover? We also talked about. Hello, question.
Hello?
Do you have a question?
Yeah, I wanted to know how do if I open Python from my applications, how do I activate the IDE to be where you are now?
I already answered your question. After the class, please go on the group or on the Telegram or WhatsApp group. There's a link to a video. I'll share it again for you. I explained it in detail on my YouTube channel. So just watch that video.
Fine, thanks.
All right. So I was saying, I was reviewing all the stuff we just covered in this class. So starting from the level of programming language of what Python is, a high level programming language.
Questions. Which month?
A couple of people have questions. Okay, so let's start addressing those questions now. We have about 5 to 10 minutes before the class ends. So question time. Let's go. So first, please, if we've answered your question, you can put your hands down. So you can start asking questions, please. First come, first serve. So please, first come, first serve. First, if you omit your mic, you can start.
So, how many data types do you have in Python again?
Well, there are plenty. There is string, integer, there is set, dictionary. There are plenty, There are plenty, tuple.
And can you just mention like the most important one, the one you like to come across?
Well,
or likely use?
Okay, the ones you use the most. For this training, we are going to look at strings, lists, dictionary. What other form can you store data in Python?
You have integer,
float, you have boolean. Don't worry, we'll cover them. There are plenty. So this class is already coming to an end. Tomorrow we'll go in depth into data types, variables, and how to create, store, use them. Today was just like an intro into it. Okay, so tomorrow we'll continue on those things. Just hold your horses. So the question I'm referring to, do you have questions based on the words we covered today? Do you understand everything I talked about in this class? Do you want more clarification on any topic at all? You know, you can ask those questions. Thank you very much. So please, if there are no questions, is it that everybody understood what I was saying? Please ask question, unmute your mic and ask your questions, please. You don't have to raise your hand all the time because I cannot.
No, mine is not a question. It's just to say thank you guys for what you're doing. You're doing a great job. Keep it up. For beginners, this might look like it's useless, but it's very important because the foundation concepts are what matters in anything, any learning.
All right. Thank you very much. We really appreciate. Thank you. So Micah seems to have a question. Micah.
Okay. Concerning event, just about being appreciated. Are you doing a video class? So.
Yes, of course. I'm recording the class and I will upload it to the channel once class is over. So it seems there are no more questions, right? So I guess we have 2 minutes more for the class to end. I don't think it's wrong for us to, if you don't have questions, I don't think it's wrong for us to call it a day. If you're satisfied with the class so far, and it'd be nice for you to follow us on YouTube and just subscribe to our channel so you get updates whenever we update videos, because we'll be doing a lot more things, like a lot more awesome content. There'll be giveaways at some point, and a lot of surprises that are coming that we have planned for this training and for all of us that are involved. So yes, it would be nice that we do try to take it seriously, and don't worry, even jobs will come out of this. I'm very sure, that I can assure you, and so just stick with us and it will be a nice ride. It's already 8 o'clock, a minute to 8 o'clock. So yes, in case for those of you that want to see me, let me on my mic. How do I put this mic to come on now? This one here. So I finally got light. There's been no light, that's why I didn't bother. So yeah, good evening everybody. Richmond here. I hope everybody had a not so stressful day at work, because I know most of us are at work now, or coming from work, or just came back from work anyhow. It's nice having today's class with you guys. I'm looking forward to tomorrow's class. I would try to make it more seamless. I will be handling the invites, and in case people are joining the meeting, so I don't have to start switching screens and all. But thank you so much for joining us. The turn up was massive. I am very grateful. You made it worthwhile. Thank you very much, everybody. Peace out. So you can actually all go. You can do anything you want to do. Today's class was successful. So.
All right, thank you.
Yep, bye-bye.